Hello and welcome to the TTI Distribution Download, the podcast where we talk about all things happening in the world of electronic components with the specialists of TTI. Today, it's another installment of big ideas and little-known facts about connectors with John Sandy of TTI and Molex's John Crimmins.
Thanks, Jim, and welcome everybody to TTI and Molex's podcast series, Big Ideas and Little-Known Facts in the World of Interconnect. With you today is John Sandy from TTI and my co-host, John Crimmins from Molex. Hi, John.
Howdy, John.
And joining us today, we have Reuben Irizarry, Global Product Manager from High Power in Molex's PSBU team. Welcome, Reuben, and good to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, John.
Why don't we start by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So I originally studied mechanical engineering at Purdue University, and then I joined Molex directly out of college, starting in a program it's called the Associate Sales Engineering Program, kind of a developmental program we have at Molex to get into kind of a pipeline into the rest of the organization. And from there, I started to go towards a path of product management when I went into an associate product management role, responsible for the extreme power products, which are one of the high power products that are used in Molex. And then also from there, I proceeded to a global product management role, also still managing the extreme power products.
Hey, Reuben, how did you find out about Molex when you were in college?
So there actually was a SWE event, so a Society of Women Engineers event at Purdue. And actually one of the other members of the developmental program I was in, so one of the ones that was in the program at the time, Alex, he is still at Molex. He recruited me there, and so I started kind of having discussions there, learned about the ASE program, and then next thing you know, I was here.
That's a good story. It's always good to understand how people get into this industry, because not everyone gets here by focusing on it from birth, so to speak. If we look at Molex High Power, and Reuben, I know you and I have spoken previously, but Molex really does break that down, as far as I understand it, into flat blade product and circular product. Could you give the listeners just a little bit of an overview of Molex's high power offering and what the difference between those two technologies is?
Yeah, sure. So in the high power group, part of the power and signal business unit, we have the flat bladed products and the circular products. That's really mainly due to the terminal design that we use. So the flat bladed products have a flat bladed terminal. And then on the circular side, we have a circular, like cone type shape, conical type shape for the terminals. For most of the intents and purposes and most of the applications, this either terminal design will work. It's mainly based on the customer preference. However, the main differences between our offerings in each side is, for the flat blade side, we have hybrid solutions available, so we can do power and signal. On the circular side, we don't have that capability. And then I will say, predominantly for mounting onto a bus bar, the circular side will have more options for that. We have done bus bar mounting products on the flat blade side. We have also flat bladed products that actually slot into a bus bar, but we don't have a lot of options of actually mounting that. So that's the main difference there. But in reality, again, it really is, all the applications are very similar, and it's more based on customer preference.
In our industry, data centers, hyperscale, those are some big buzzwords that everybody gets really excited about. Can you speak in layman's terms about data centers? What type of applications are you going after with your high power products?
Yeah, so our products are designed to be used in data centers. That was the main motivation for designing the extreme power products and many of the other products that we have in the high power families. So the main focus of this is to help distribute the power throughout the system. Generally, there's going to be, you have a full rack with many different pizza boxes in there. Some of those are going to have power supplies. Some are going to have other components. So generally, what we're doing is taking that power from the power supplies, putting it into either a bus bar or a cable assembly to get the power to go to the different racks and where it's needed. So many different connector opportunities there. We have backplane options, so a right angle to a vertical, sliding type of connector, coplanar, so right angle to right angle, or we can also do edge card solutions, many different variations within the Extreme family and within the high power products in general.
Excellent. So on the Molex custom configurator, if a customer goes in, puts in their attributes, what is their expectations when they would hear back from Molex?
Yeah, so I'd say, one of those things is having the power in signal, so we can do some communications in those products, but also having the right angle to vertical backplane orientation. A lot of times these pizza boxes are sliding into a backplane, and then that's how the connection is actually made. So they're just pushing in the pizza box and sliding it into the rack. So because we have that, we have a guide features in those connectors to allow a little bit of blind mate. So there are a few features there that allow for the actual mechanical connection. I think a big thing with the Extreme products as well, and this is just a key feature for us, is how configurable they are. Every single one of these systems is highly specific to that customer and what type of development and what type of system they have. So we have a very configurable line. We actually have a custom configuration tool for these products. So on molex.com, you can go there, create a custom product specifically to your specifications. And a lot of the time, if it can be created on that custom configuration tool, we can create this connector without any additional tooling. So that ease of, that modularity, the configurability, also the different configurations we have for that data center application allows us to be successful.
So, Reuben, we talked about data centers and AI and that side of applications. Could you give us an overview of maybe where else you're seeing not only obviously the Extreme power products, but maybe Molex power products in general? What kind of applications, what kind of markets are they being designed into? Are they being looked at as possible solution providers?
Yeah, so we have many different markets that our products can be applicable in and that we've seen customers use them. So one of them would be EV charging. So we've definitely been seeing this pop up a lot in recent years, mainly on the charging side that's outside of the vehicle. So, the actual charging units, not necessarily in a vehicle, but we've seen a lot of applications there. I would say a key one that we've been seeing pop up in the EV market is going to be our power plane. This is one of the flat blade products that is meant to mate to a bus bar. We recently added a tin plated version. So a lot of these EV customers are looking for a lower cost version. Previously, we used silver. We still have the silver version available, but we have provided this tin plated option for those EV applications. Our centrality products are also used for EV applications. So there's many areas where we're starting to implement these products there. Additionally, we have energy storage, for battery storage systems or uninterruptible power supplies. Anywhere that there's an inverter or converter, that's an area where you definitely will see our products, as well as more traditional industrial applications for if power is being distributed, if there's a power distribution unit, you're definitely going to see our products. And then we've also in recent times started to see some even more niche applications, niche in terms of for our products. So I know for our Extreme LPH, we've started to see some more consumer applications. We've had some audio customers. We have a 2-power version of the LPH. So LPH stands for low profile hybrid. So it's a very small connector. It's 7.5 millimeters in height, in profile height. So we started to see some applications there for those. And consumer is an area that historically we didn't really have a lot of solutions for. But we've also even seen, our 1060 and our high density signals that we used for the Extreme products, they have a current rating of 4.5 amps. So we've started to see that we can even use just our signal pins for low power applications because we have a very dense product offering in terms of small pitch, and we can still do 4.5 amps. So we're starting to find many different ways to use these products outside of data center.
Hey, so Reuben, I know you're very technical working with you, but when a customer, one of the Molex sales engineers or the TTI business development managers, if they come to you for a question that you can't handle, can you talk through your engineering support at Molex?
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely definitely have to use our engineering team a lot. So, whenever a question comes in that, I don't have the answer to, or, I'm not entirely sure, we have a full engineering team that is focused on supporting our high power products. So I typically bounce it off them and then try to see, what their thoughts are, if they have any historical knowledge, any additional test reports. So I definitely use the engineering team a lot, and I've even brought them into meetings with customers. Same way that an SE will sometimes bring me as a PM. Sometimes we have to go even deeper and bring in the engineering and bring in their expertise. So that's definitely something we're open to.
If you were to think across the range of the power products that you've got in your portfolio, Reuben, what are the most popular ones today? What are being designed in the most? What are customers looking at the most when it comes to solving their problems today?
Yeah, so we have a few product families that are, continue to drive a lot of growth. So, historically, we still have the Extreme 1060. That is the biggest one in the Extreme family, rated at 60 amps, and we can do power, signal, board to board, wire to board, all of those. It's a very versatile product family. We also have the LPH, which is the one I mentioned, that we have a 2-power version available. So that low profile hybrid, that's a big one as well. But we have a lot of new products as well that are growing significantly. So, we have on the circular side, the core socket technology, that terminal design that we use in the circular products. We've packaged that in many different ways. So we have a pin and socket type of way that we've designed those. We can do those products. That product family is growing tremendously. That's by far the fastest growing product in the high power group. And then, as I mentioned, we've packaged that terminal design in different ways, and we've also done wire to bus bar or wire to board. So we have the SW1 family, which is a cable assembly onto a pin that has been used in many different applications. So there's a lot of areas of growth, but those few that I've mentioned are the ones that are really driving a lot of it right now.
Just following up on that, we had a recent podcast with Greg Hoffman from the cable assembly side of the business. Do you play in that market as well? Is he getting involved in and helping customers with cable assembly solutions for the high power products?
Yes, we work very closely with Greg and his team. So, our products very, very vertically integrated. We can put our products on a cable assembly, work with Greg's team. We can work with the bus bar team. We can put our centrality products, those pin and socket products with the core socket technology. We can put those products into a bus bar and ship out the assembly all together. So we definitely work very closely together. And I think that's a big area that, when we're working with customers, if we can leverage the other capabilities that we have, if we can create an even more complete solution for customers, I definitely think that's an area we can continue to grow and get success.
For the high power team, what new products do you have coming out in 2025 or 2026, or what type of concepts is your team working towards?
Yeah, so on the flat blade side, we have that tin-plated power plane, which I mentioned, which is kind of a lower cost version of the silver-plated power plane, mainly driven by EV customers. We have that 2-power LPH that was released at the end of last year. So there's a stocking package for that, and that has grown as well. We have a 1060 mezzanine, so that's also an Extreme family. It's going to be a mezzanine application, so it's a vertical board, basically 2 parallel boards, and a vertical plug to a vertical receptacle. Historically, we could do mezzanine applications for power only using our centrality products, but now we can do a hybrid solution. We've improved on an old mezzanine design that we had, and we can now do that power and signal in a mezzanine. And then we also have some other products. We have an edge card solution. It's part of the OCP family. It's for the MCRPS, so common redundant power supply. This is for 3 kilowatt applications. We have an edge card solution that's coming out this year. So that's on the flat blade side. On the centrality side, there's definitely a lot of, in centrality, that's the circular products. We definitely have a lot of different new products coming out. So there's a lot in the pipeline. We're doing a lot of right angle variants. So before we were more on the vertical to vertical mezzanine applications for these pin and socket products, but now we're doing a lot of right angle variants. as well as we're exploring new opportunities to try and package these in new ways. One of them that we came out with last year was the Hypercube. So that's a very small wire to board or wire to bus bar application of that circular product. It's when I say small, it's a very, very small product, but it can carry over 100 amps in that. So definitely a lot of exciting things coming out.
In this last year, Reuben, I know you've been part of the Power and Signal business unit. Have there been any surprises that you weren't ready for, or anything that really opened your eyes?
I think, honestly, what I've been most surprised is kind of how we've been able to start finding solutions for those, other applications outside of the, predominantly data center market. So kind of finding those solutions where, maybe we're working more in a consumer area. As I mentioned, those audio customers, maybe those LED customers. That's been kind of surprising to me that we have some products applicable there, and kind of just seeing how we've been able to use our products in different ways than they initially were designed to still serve our customers. So I think that's probably been the most surprising thing.
I think that's a great message, actually. Sometimes we get wrapped up in a new product that comes out and it's been specifically designed for a certain market. And if we're not in that market, maybe we give it a pass and don't really have a look at it. So I think what you just said there is a real message to our listeners to sort of say, look for a product that's got the capabilities and the performance and the attributes that you're specifically targeting versus one that's designed specifically for your market, because you might be surprised at what might pop up as a solution.
Yeah, definitely.
So Reuben, as we wrap this up, and we really do appreciate you being on today, would you like to leave our listeners with any last thoughts?
Yeah, so thanks, John, for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation. I'd just say, if you have any potential opportunities, even if it may be a niche opportunity, whether it's like a low current but high voltage, or like I said, even if it's just some low power opportunity, feel free to reach out to our product management team. We're happy to work with anyone and start developing those opportunities. I may end up not being the right person, but I can try to guide you in the right direction. So I definitely would say just continue to use our team and bounce things off us. And then also keep looking for different opportunities to leverage the vertical integration that we have at Molex. So if you have a cable solution or a cable opportunity that maybe has a connector opportunity as well, or even a bus bar opportunity, there's areas that we can get multiple wins just in one. So main thing I'd say is just reach out and let's work together.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap it up. Thank you very much. Well, that's it for this edition, everybody. Look out for the next Molex TTI, Big Ideas and Little Known Facts in the World of Connectors, hosted by myself, John Sandy from TTI, and John Crimmins from Molex. Thank you very much, and see you again soon.
That's it for this episode of the TTI Distribution Download. For more information on any of the topics you heard about today, reach out to your nearby TTI branch at 1-800-CALL-TTI or visit us online at tti.com.